Hello, it's Brian Hicks, president and founder of Angel Publishing. And today I have a very special guest, and we're going to be talking about something massive, potentially bigger than Bitcoin. I'm sitting down with investment legend, best-selling author, and entrepreneur Anthony Wile to talk about NatGold, a new kind of digital gold that's being called the future of money. Anthony is the founder and CEO of NatGold Digital. Anthony, let's just dive right in. What exactly is NatGold?
Well, first of all, Brian, thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to stop by and visit you and your team and discuss what's going on in the wide world of sports. NatGold, well, in a nutshell, NatGold is a revolutionary digital mining approach that we built over a period of almost 7 years, planning for the first 3 or 4 years, and the last 3 years actually building the ecosystem. And what it does is it enables us in a revolutionary way to capture gold's value and do it in a way that is sustainable, yields a non-dilutive ultimate product that actually is no longer really tied to gold, but more of a crypto commodity unique offering around a new asset class that we call NatGold, natural gold. And natural gold tokens are the actual product that comes out of that ecosystem. I like to kind of use a phraseology, or we'll say a bit of a metaphor here, that to us, it's what we've created is really like taking two caterpillars, one called gold and one called Bitcoin, bringing them into a cocoon in which our digital mining ecosystem lives, and out the other side comes this great golden new superior crypto commodity offering that actually is the real digital gold.
So wait, Tony, I want to make sure I understand this. This isn't paper gold, it's not a gold ETF, and it's not physical gold bars, right?
None of those. None of those, Brian. And for good reason. Like, nothing against gold. I've been in the gold business as an investor and a consultant, and I've written many books on political economy and the monetary system and the benefits of having gold. And, like everybody in the industry, until we really applied, and some really good people, I mean, it's not just, the Anthony Wile show here. I mean, there's some really great minds that have been involved in, figuring out how can we create a real viable fiat money alternative offering that really brings gold back in a way that leaves the worst of it behind, all the things that we know about, the environmental issues, the social displacement, and also creates a better ultimate product. In other words, a non-dilutive asset, because, like Warren Buffett talks about, what are we, crazy? We dig it out of the earth, we rebury it somewhere else and pay people to guard it, and it's true. It's a progressively dilutive investment. And so, what we've accomplished over that 6.5-year period is now a multi-patent pending. It's 11 patents actually that we have filed, and a tremendous system that really gives life back to monetary life back, because obviously the store of wealth value that gold has is not going to be extinguished by any politician or what have you. I mean, the world understands the value of gold. And they also understand, what's happening more and more every day with fiat money expansion and what that means as it relates to your purchasing power. And so for us, figuring out how to bring gold back, taking the best of what Bitcoin, has to offer in terms of the technology and the entire, ecosystem on the blockchain ecosystem and cryptography and all of that side of things, and just bringing them together. The end product is just a superior offering, and we're so excited about it, Brian.
Okay, so you've talked about, you just mentioned Bitcoin. How does NatGold compare to Bitcoin? What are the benefits of NatGold over Bitcoin?
Brian, I'm not dissing Bitcoin, by the way, and I want to make this point really clear. We're thankful for what Bitcoin has been able to do, and not just Bitcoin, the category. I mean, the category has shown the way forward and, greatly improved the way transactions can be completed and the efficiencies that come with, utilizing this incredible technology. But in and of itself, it is not the ideal monetary instrument. And this is where we come in, again, bringing the best of gold. So we have, obviously the intrinsic value of what gold has to offer. We have a sustainably produced asset that is, Bitcoin, obviously, and not to pick on Bitcoin again, but I mean, whether you're redirecting energy use or you're tapping into energy grids, and we all know that it's not, not a cleanly produced product at the end of the day. The algorithms being mined and the way they're being mined uses huge amounts of power. We literally eliminate all of that from both sides of the equation and kind of drive right down the middle and create this fully sustainable product that eliminates that. So when you talk about Bitcoin, we're fully sustainable and, of course, energy efficient. There is practically no energy use. It's like turning your computer on in the morning is about how much energy we use literally,
Right.
in our ecosystem. It's remarkable. So those are two principal things: intrinsic value, sustainability. We're both capped. I mean, we're capped geologically. They're capped algorithmically. So kind of equal there. But all in all, we just bring back gold in a beautiful way.
Tony, like we were talking before this interview, and you've coined a phrase which I think is very important for our viewers to understand. And you say NatGold will reflect this Tesla effect. Can you go into that a little bit more? Because I think that's very, very intriguing.
Yeah, well, we also refer to it sometimes as the sustainability premium. But yeah, the Tesla effect. I mean, it's an interesting thing when you take a look at Tesla, and many, many people out there. I mean, I'm sure you've read it all and seen it all too. Many people just couldn't understand, like, why is this company getting such valuations, in comparison to traditional auto producers like Ford, GM, whatever. And you look at it and you shake your head and you're like, yeah, but what they didn't understand is the power of doing something good, and how that transitions into action for people that are motivated, by sustainable investing and making a difference or perceiving that they're making a difference. And so whether it was the cars themselves became, kind of a status symbol of,
Right.
I'm doing something good for the world. And the company itself, investing in the company was also, had a lot to do with that. And so the Tesla effect is what happens when people wake up to a cleaner, better way of doing things that still achieves delivering that end result and does it in a better way. And that's exactly what NatGold represents. So, to what degree a Tesla effect, appears in our model and what we've created, whether it's a tokens or whether it's a company, I mean, that remains to be seen. But we're certainly aligning, the key ingredients that are necessary, for that type of an effect to take hold.
Anthony, you've told me that, and I know this, that you've been developing this product, this NatGold token, and the platform for years now, and it seems like you're reaching the market at the very right time. Why now? Why now is NatGold is so important right now in terms of the global monetary system?
Well, that's a great question, and I would like to go back a little bit before I answer that last part and just say, you're right. It's been over 6 years since we've been planning this. So there was no gold trend at that time. There was no discussion of tokenization of RWAs and all the advanced discussion that we have today.
RWAs mean
real world assets.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But so we didn't construct this to be capitalizing on the trends that we see today.
Right.
We were literally driven to make that better fiat money instrument, and that leads to the answer to the second part of your statement, and that is, we believe, whether you look at what's happening here in the United States right now, for example, the policies that are being set forth from a spending point of view haven't changed at all. In fact, these are massive spending packages that are being approved and brought into light. And with that just means more fiat money supply, which means greater loss of purchasing power, no matter how you cut it. It's a very simple equation. The more you create of something, the less value it has as far as unitary purchasing power. And the dollar has been under assault ever since it was freed off gold. And the brakes were taken away, the natural braking system. And today, it's a runaway car. And the world sees it. I mean, look at the BRICS. The BRICS are going their own way, so to speak, right? And, it's just a different world in which I'll even apply what I said in High Alert, the book, one of the books that I wrote way back when in 2007, I think it was, at least the first time, is, the internet is spawning something similar to what the Gutenberg press did in the 1400s. It opens up, the ability for people to communicate about that, which was pretty much a controlled conversation prior thereto. And we had the obvious, reformation religiously throughout the 1500s and 1600s. And then you have today, the same thing monetarily happening in a much faster lightning speed kind of environment. So, what we're seeing now is the result of 20 plus years of open border conversations. What we're doing here now, what Joe Rogan does on his podcast, what people have been doing, and we did at the Daily Bell and Free Market News Network before that, opening people's eyes to how the system works. And so today, I think, getting back to your question, we're coming to the marketplace at a time where it's not so much about gold is hot or tokenization of real world assets is hot or any of that. It's about the faith in the dollar itself, and fiat currency regimes is at an all-time low and dropping. And, this is the spike that led to, Bitcoin passion. That's why I say I'm not against Bitcoin. I understand the culture that drove and is driving, that insatiable desire to have a change. And that's what we bring. We bring a new change, a change that was designed specifically to be that fiat money alternative. And I think with good education, the Tesla effect thrown on top, who knows where this all goes, but it seems like we are hitting the marketplace at the exact perfect time in history to do this.
Great. Tony, you're doing something very, very, I think, innovative in that as NatGold is it's about to be launched into the market, you're going to give everyday investors an opportunity to buy or reserve NatGold tokens before tokens actually become live trading, before Wall Street can get involved, before governments can get involved, before other institutions can get involved. You're actually going to sell or reserve or allow investors to reserve tokens before they actually go live at a 10% discount. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure, I can. And you're right, it is. It's for the people. This
Right.
is a monetary revolution in the works. At least that's how we view it. And most of the people joining, what we're doing here view it the same way. So, part of this ecosystem is the ultimate, launch. And when we do launch, there is a soft period of time there where we're going to be actually trading and testing that trading part of the ecosystem, so that people who are actually getting this, as you referred to, special opportunity to be part of this, they're actually helping us. It's kind of like a thank you, saying, thank you for joining and signing up to be part of our beta testing trading market, which is basically going to be 1 or 2 days prior to opening it up for global acquisition. And in that context, what we're offering to people is to make a reservation at this time. There's no money changing hands. They're literally saying, look, I want to participate. I want to buy tokens. I want to be part of this at the beginning. And so we offer people from 1 to 25 tokens to be able to make that reservation. Subsequently, they will need to open a trading relationship and share with us the wallet address so that we can, make that trade happen on that trading day. And they're acquiring tokens at what we call baseline intrinsic value. And that's derived, it's a formula, it's actually part of our patents. We created a real-time index to monitor the cost side of the industry. It didn't exist, and we wanted real-time data. And it's the COMEX gold price minus that cost of getting it above the ground and getting to the global average operating margin for producing and vaulting an ounce of gold. And that's the baseline intrinsic value of not NatGold, but of gold measured in the ground versus gold vaulted above the ground. That is not what we see as the value of a superior crypto commodity fiat money alternative offering. Not at all. Back to that whole cocoon thing with, the both coming in and one going out. We're still on the one side of the equation. It's still the caterpillar of gold. And that measure, we feel, is a very conservative starting point for understanding how to value gold in the ground. But again, that's not NatGold. And so basically we're taking that number as of the day of that opening of the trading market. We're discounting it 10% as of 8 a.m. of that day. And that is the initial price point at which we are providing those tokens to those beta test participants that are helping us. And it's a limit of 10,000 tokens only. So it's not like it's, we're not putting millions of tokens out there.
Last question, Tony. You've been involved in a lot of investments throughout your career, precious metals, real estate, and I believe cannabis was one of your biggest winners yet. Why NatGold? Why now? Why are you personally backing NatGold?
Well, Brian, I don't. I have to say, I think my whole life, if you go back and look and forget about the business stuff, I mean, I've been involved in mining all over the world. I have had silver mines in Inner Mongolia and China. I have done gold mining up and down Latin America, Nevada, Mexico, Canada, like, literally around the world. And so I understood gold, and I understand gold, and from a not just from a mining perspective, but more so from even a monetary perspective. So a big part of my life has been built in, devoted to publishing and publishing ideas. And it was always, this is the way it should be. This is the way it would be better this way, kind of a thing. And then I realized, it's never going to come back. Gold has already been defeated. Monetarily, I'm talking about. It's already been defeated on the whole inelasticity argument that the Keynesians trotted out and all of this and that. And that's the same reason Bitcoin will never be considered or actually be able to be utilized as a monetary instrument in the mainstream sense. And it's simply put because governments feel that they need to have the control over the expandability of the monetary system. But if you're capped at 21 million units in the case of Bitcoin, or capped on physical gold, which you just can't dial up in terms of production in times of which you feel you need to be able to do so, then you're kind of, you're not able to qualify any longer in the system. We're actually scalable. Like, we can digitally mine assets in a matter of gold, verified gold assets that meet the certified NatGold resources qualifications and all these things. It's a very extensive process, but we can actually be expandable at the rate that market demand requires. And I'm not suggesting, by the way, that there should ever be any need for that type of intervention and control over the monetary system. Quite the contrary. I'm just living within the reality of the system in which we do live. Right. I do see the bank towers in every city that we travel to around the world. I do see the stadiums decorated with bank names. I mean, we do live in a bank. We call it a banking elite society. And so what we did is very simply, Brian, is in my case, it's an evolution of my whole life between the publishing of ideas and, trying to open people's eyes as to what, monetary history is and the importance of gold and silver, for that matter, in that equation. It just became something that for us was a culmination of life work, mining on one side, this and that, and the other thing. And I think we've done a great job. I really think that it's going to be hard for anybody to put out something out there that actually is going to be better than what we've built. I hate to say that. It might sound a little arrogant, but it's not arrogant. It's confidence. And if we haven't done it right after 6 or 7 years of planning, then I don't know what it takes.
Well, I have to say, this is an amazing story. I've been in this business for 30 years, and this is probably the most intriguing, potentially the biggest investment opportunity I have ever come across. So,
well, thank you.
Well, thanks again, Tony. That was an incredible. I think if we get together again in a year, this interview is going to be dramatically different and dramatically positive and huge. It's going to be incredible. NatGold is now live for early access for investors who want to reserve tokens before they go live on the market. You can get a 10% discount, reserve your tokens, get the 10% discount, and stake your claim in what could be the most powerful wealth event of the decade, if not the century. Visit natgold.goldworld.com to lock in your tokens right now.